Did you know that Apata Apata, the famous song from Rosie and I think his name is Rosie and Bruno Mars, is a Korean drinking game? I'm pretty sure by now everyone kind of knows, but hey, now you know. Hey, what's up, everyone? It's your boy Matt Diazable coming at you with some new music reviews. Thank you for coming on by. I appreciate you. We're having a lot of fun, getting a lot more people in here, and it's great. Thank you. Yeah. Today I am continuing, I guess, my review of, all the members of Blackpink because as of 2025, they've all put out some new material and people are requesting me after I did the Lisa review and I did the Jennie review. They're like, hey, can you go back and do this review? So I was like, all right, let's go do it. And that is, I am checking out the latest album from our girl, Rose, with her album called Rosie. I'm sure she doesn't need an introduction, but just in case, a lot of the people who watch this stuff are into the metal, hardcore stuff, they might not know. But yeah, Rose is a member of Blackpink, one of the biggest K-pop groups of, current generation and possibly of all time. They've broken many, many records. They're well known around the world. And it seems like they've been taking a break for a while as of Blackpink and doing their own solo things. I reviewed, like I said earlier, the Lisa album this past year in 2025 called Alter Ego, Jennie's album, Ruby. I need to check out Jisoo's EP. I don't know what it's called. It's called like Armitage, but I got to check that out after this. And then we have the first one that dropped a solo album, Rose, with her album Rosé. And, it's got that mega hit on there called Aparta that everyone knows by now. It's gotten billions of views and streams. She's crazy popular, so it's really hard that, you don't know who she is. But yeah, she is a pop singer from Korea and has been doing things for a bit for now with Blackpink and herself. I think probably about at least more than 10 years now. Yeah, they debuted in 2016. Yeah, so as of 2026, it'll be 10 years. So I'm excited to talk about this album. That's usually, stuff I don't talk about, which is, metal and hardcore stuff, but I'm always open to new things. And I'm excited to talk about this album. And with this latest album that she dropped, I would say, it didn't really explode in terms of sounds here, but I've got to say, she's put a lot of heart into this album. Even if it does kind of heavily lean into one theme and struggles a little bit with pacing, I would say, but, you know, she's doing an all right job here. From the first notes of the track, Number One Girl, Rose is really setting the tone here for pretty much the whole album in the sense that there's going to be a lot of soft pianos throughout this album, some tender vocals, and just emotional vulnerability. There's a clear sense of longing here with this track, with lyrics that are painting her as someone who's really carving, well, not carving, but craving validation, but offering genuine warmth in return. It's a pretty like warmful song to open up the album. Her vocal tone is very, it reminds me of a softer, less raspier Miley Cyrus, and it just carries like emotion quite well. Even though at times her English phrasing does occasionally stumble. There's a little bit of like the way she's saying certain words, they sound a little bit off, and you can tell like she's an English as a second language speaker. And I guess that's like ingrained in my mind because I've been an English teacher in Korea for the past 10 years. So like little nuances like that I always catch with like tones and just fluency. Overall, not so bad, but there's some awkward moments on this album. And even though it can be a little awkward at times, I gotta say it does give the album a nice charm here because you can really hear her effort. And across this album, like on songs 3 a.m., 2 Years, and Stay a Little Longer, uh, these songs really show how Rose, thrives in softer, more reflective spaces when it comes to music. These tracks really build on very gentle and layered vocals and very restrained production. And I think that really goes well and complements her singing and performance style. There's a strong emotional thread here that really connects them all nicely. And I can tell Rose really enjoys exploring these very raw, introspective times and moments with her music. But after a while, it does feel like you've kind of heard the same quiet heartbreak whisper voice she does, just in slightly different ways on different songs. It's kind of a running issue, but it can be overlooked because the songs are well produced. What really breaks things up a little bit on this album is the production shift, like you get on the song Toxic Till the End. Here, she kind of like leans into like a very bold and early 2000s pop sound that, kind of makes everything sound a little bit refreshing. It's one of the few moments on this record where she has some darker lyrical content that kind of equally like matches the big dramatic sonic landscape she has here. It's a pretty standout track. And I was really surprised by the song Aparta, featuring Bruno Mars, the big mega hit song that's been playing for the past like almost year now. It offers a really nice change in terms of tempo and texture because all the songs beforehand, for the most part, are pretty mild manner. And, just hearing the song itself as the single, it can be a bit like it was overplayed out a little bit, but it fits nicely in the overall sequencing of the album. And that, radio hit friendliness of the song really helps, just changes everything up a little bit, and it feels perfectly placed in the middle of the album because it's very catchy, breezy, and just short enough to where you want to listen to it again. So, just as a single, it's a little bit much, but it does fit very nicely in the album overall. I was really surprised that he was the only feature on this entire album. She has one feature, and it's Bruno Mars, and it just works really well with his, upbeat feel and sound, with her contrasting vocals that feel a little bit flatter, but overall, it's just nice that she only had one feature, so it feels very tastefully done. Unfortunately, after the song Aparta, you get songs like Drinks or Coffee, Not the Same, and Too Bad for Us, where things kind of just fall into a very forgettable zone. They have a really good, clean production here. Her vocals sound really good, but these songs just all start to blur together. The thematic repetition of almost every song revolving around either love, heartbreak, or romantic longing begins to really weigh down the album a little bit by the time we get to the second half of the album. And it's just like, I understand you want to go through your heartbreak, you talk about it. It's quite relatable for sure, the lyrics, but it does get a little old pretty fast. Because by the time you get to the songs, Call It the End and Dance All Night, you get a sense of emotional fatigue. Even the last track of the album, which has a very good upbeat and very hopeful feel to it, it all circles back to her saying she wants to dance all night because of a relationship. So everything just keeps going back to love and heartache and relationships, which it just kind of gets a little bland a bit. I feel like the last song could have been a very playful and light closer to the album, but instead it just feels like a half-formed attempt to be, more about, heartbreak and everything, and ultimately it just feels a bit forgettable. To Rosé, or, her producer or whoever, I gotta say her sequencing on this album is very thoughtful and super cohesive. The transitions of all the songs feel very intentional and just really built into each other. So I feel like there's a really good sonic identity with this album that is very subtle in terms of emotional weight and has a very stripped back beauty to it. And so I will say, though, it does make the album feel a bit safe because it is a bit predictable, but it's overall not too bad with that predictability. But when she does kind of step out of her box a little bit, like on the songs Toxic to the End, where it's a little bit more bolder, or she kind of opens up a little bit more lyrically on 2 Years, it breaks that mold of repetition, which, I think is an interesting contrast because, I did the Lisa review and the Jenny review, and they had a lot of different experimental songs, and I feel like they fell flat a little bit more. While here, she's just doing the same thing over and over. It's a bit bland, it's predictable, but it is consistently a better listening experience because it just feels more cohesive. In the end, this debut album from Rose is, a solid debut that seems like she's still kind of searching for her voice at times. It has some really nice, beautiful highs on this record, but there are some, issues in terms of hearing the same thing over and over, and it just kind of overstays its welcome a bit. It's very weird that I'm saying this because I feel like I'm having the opposite in terms of my review with her album and the other members of Blackpink. But if she can push the boundaries just a little bit more and show other sides of her, I think she could have potential to have some better songs and just better overall presence. And, instead of playing it kind of safe with her songs and her overall presence. But I got to say, this debut from Rose, I would give it a good and decent 7 out of 10. Links down below. Tell me what you think about this album. Tell me whatever K-pop artist or any artist I should check out. And like always, see you in the pit.